Hello. Welcome back to After the Snap. I am your host, Tasha Pierce. And joining me today is my friend and fellow Trekkie, Mr. Clarence from Discussing Trek. How's it going today, sir? I don't got you. I'm not reading you.
It's going great. How you doing? Sorry about
Oh,
that.
good, good. No, no problem. Oh,
Yeah, no complaints. I'm doing good on this Sunday. How you doing today?
I can, well, it's one of them days. Mother Nature
Mm-mm.
decided that she's going to whoop my butt today with these allergies. So
Mm.
we have daylight savings time, and now we got allergy season all up on us at once. And I didn't know it was daylight savings time. I'm so glad that the clocks do their thing on their own. I leave out of my room and everything says it's one time, and I went in the kitchen with
Mm.
the clocks that you have to manually change, and I'm like, no, wait a minute.
It's kind of amazing. We can kind of just forget about it these days and
Yeah,
just go on about our day. So I didn't know either, to be
yeah,
honest.
I was lost. Um, and I'm like I said, I'm glad I don't have anything that I have to set except for the stove and the microwave. So,
Mm.
but outside of that, we got a good episode to talk about. It looks like, even though
Oh yeah,
I always find a way to nitpick, but
yeah. There's some
this was
things you can
good.
nitpick about. Yeah, I
Yeah,
agree.
just a couple, just a couple. But before we get into that, let's talk about something that we heard, and I don't even have a banner for it. Let's talk about something that we heard earlier this week about Robert Beltran deciding to say no to coming back as Chakotay in season two of Picard. Um,
Yeah,
it's kind of obvious what they had for him to do, right?
yeah.
He was going to be Seven's first husband in the Confederation timeline. You, you think that was a good idea for him to just say no?
You know what? If I had to choose between him coming back for that seeming unsignificant role, as we saw what happened to her husband in that timeline, as opposed to being impactful on Prodigy, I think he made the right decision.
Yeah, me too. Because, like I said, it was going to be it was going to be a disappointing turn
Yeah.
for him as Chakotay in Picard, I think. And we're getting such good stuff out of him for Prodigy. Just what's promised for us to get from him as Chakotay on Prodigy is worth it. So yeah, he made a good decision.
Totally agree. Totally agree.
Do you have any news, Trek news or otherwise?
You know what? I think it's been kind of quiet.
It has.
No real Trek news for me. I did go and watch Creed 3 today, which I
How
thoroughly
did you like
enjoyed.
it?
It was good.
Really?
It was good. Hats off to Michael B. Jordan on his directorial debut. He did amazing. Of course, Jonathan Majors he plays a good villain, but he's
Oh,
a very relatable villain in this case. So I think you'll enjoy it when you finally see it as well.
yeah, we gotta get remedicated over here to get out the house. Because every time I step out the door, something just say, "Nope, you don't want to go," because something is out there. So the
Yeah,
boogeyman is out there for me. But we'll get it together, I suppose. Um, what else was I going to say? Oh, did you see Did you see Creed 3 in IMAX?
I did not. It was just a regular plain
Regular.
Jane theater. Yeah.
I'm wondering if that added or took anything away from the movie by him shooting some of it in IMAX.
Well, I will say the difference is probably going to be in the actual boxing of the movie because they are not like pulled back like you see on TV
Hmm.
over the ring. They're like up close and personal in the face. You're seeing sweat getting popping off
Wow,
faces and stuff. It's really well shot.
good. Well, I'm glad to hear that he knocked it out the park with his first
I
turn
think.
as a director. And now they're talking whole Creed universes. But you know what?
Mm,
you know,
I don't know. That might be one too far.
all it takes is for something to make some money.
Yeah.
Um, and maybe since we're saying this, and I don't know if Star Trek Picard is making money for Paramount, which I believe it should be because of how many people who didn't like Picard for the first couple of seasons who are now tuning in because of the word of mouth has been so good. I'm wondering if that'll light a fire under them for getting some of these newer characters on the big screen, or just just the characters that we have grown accustomed to in Picard over the last couple of seasons.
Yeah.
Will we see them on a big screen soon?
Hmm. I don't know. On the first part though, you talking about making money. I think it's just hard to tell with streaming
It
if
is.
something is actually doing well. Pretty much the only thing you have to go on is the amount of subscribers that the service actually has. So, and as opposed to the TV world where you got sponsorships for that program that kind of,
Right.
I guess, told you how good or bad it was doing. So I don't know. I don't know. On the big screen, I would love to see this crew because they're amazing. They just slot. They just fit right in there. Haven't skipped a
Yeah.
beat. It's just beautiful.
Because is there a necessity then for the Kelvin timeline? If we've got these episodes that look as epic as any motion picture that I have seen, do we need a special group just for the big screen, or should we try to translate some of what's going on Paramount Plus to the big screen?
I almost think they have missed the boat. Other than to say that, I mean, because you got to say, Strange New Worlds is kind of in that same timeline that it's playing in, although it is the Kelvin universe. But there is something, I guess, magnetic about having Chris Pine, having all these well, high tier
Mm-hmm.
actors in the Star Trek universe. I think that does lend something to it. Um, of course, I think having people like, from our point of view anyway, having people like Jonathan Frakes, Patrick Stewart, or whoever else, Jerry Ryan, be in a movie, we would be amped for that. But uh, how good did the other TNG movies do as far as the box office goes?
Uh,
I guess is the question.
and
And where
then
would they land these days?
the one that was the worst was, of course, the last one. That was what
Mm,
made them say we will never do another Star
Nemesis.
Trek movie again. However, I agree with what Chris Pine was saying when stop trying to make Marvel movies out of our Star Trek franchise. Aim your movie, have it budgeted and aimed for the people who have been showing up for you all the time, and then anything extra will be just like it will be icing on the cake. You only everybody's
Yeah,
not going to be a $1 billion movie machine. Everybody's not. Marvel isn't even no more. It's
yeah,
starting to look like so. Maybe, like you said, that ship has sailed. Maybe that ship has sailed as far as trying to make $1 billion
yeah.
movies.
Yeah, make it for your audience and let that be enough.
Yeah,
Like you just mentioned, why does it have to break blockbuster records?
right.
Did we make more than we put into this, and was it worth our time? Yes.
Exactly.
Okay, we succeeded, right?
So, yep. Well, we will see where the big screen goes with Star Trek in the future, I suppose,
Yeah,
and whether or not they do anything on the big screen, as long as they are putting out content the way they are right now for us on Paramount Plus. And if you don't have Paramount Plus, but you still want to get your Trek Jones in, you can go to Pluto. A lot of the series are playing over there, not the new ones, but a
yeah,
lot of the
yeah,
series are playing over there. So you will still get your Trek itch scratched. And yeah, let's uh let's be happy with what we got for now. Just for
yeah.
now. I still got some complaints I could go into.
Yeah, I mean, and they could even do special events like sort of they do in the Doctor Who world on the anniversary
Yeah.
specials. They'll put it in theaters for the weekend. I'd be
Hmm.
down for that.
And they might be surprised at how well it does. It
Yeah,
reminds me, and I know I'm going off into the whole entertainment side of things, but I haven't had these kind of conversations in a while either. It reminds me of Knives Out when
mm,
Netflix put Knives Out in the theater for a week and it overperformed. It may give them the I guess the oomph to push it out, let their movies sit in theaters for a little while because there's a lot of money being left on the table,
it is.
especially
Yeah,
with the movie like with Knives Out. So if we could see the same type of turnout for a Trek special event, then that would maybe that would be what would light the fire underneath these executives to say, you know what, they got a dedicated fan base. We weren't expecting this, so let's give them what they want. Let's give them every couple of years at least a crew
Yeah,
on the big screen.
totally agreed.
Well, let's talk about. We didn't have to go in any kind of order of talking about season 3, episode 4 of Star Trek Picard. This one was called No Win Scenario. Y'all let me keep my thumbnail up on my video saying season 4, episode 4 for a whole day. It took me to look at it myself, and I was like, wait a minute. So I had to go and change the thumbnail. It said season 4, episode 4 for an entire 24 hours.
mm.
Season 3, episode 4, no win scenario. What are your thoughts off the top with this one?
Over off the top, what more can you ask for? The writing, the level of writing, and it's one thing as we've done in Discovery, and I hate to keep going back to Discovery, but it's one thing when you make, and even the first two seasons of Picard, it's one thing when you make something that is, it's this big tentpole thing we're reaching for the season, this big mystery box, whatever they want to call it. But when you can encapsulate that, parts of that in a 1 hour story that has a beginning and an end, has a, back in the 90s or 80s, a moral to the story, the more you know.
I agree. Yeah.
It has a message in the story, and you can just take this one little bottle and go off, and I'm starting to have that little warm tingling feeling in my heart again with some of these episodes, because by the end of it, just the heartfelt moments by the end of it, and the message in the entire episode, I think was just beautifully done. Yeah, so episode very much about loss, about crew, and I said before that kind of my theme for the season is probably family, but
Mhm.
family as well. So pushing that all together and making a great narrative throughout this big overarching story that we're experiencing, I think they knocked it out the park.
This episode was absolutely the best of the four. And that is saying a lot for the episode because the other three were not shabby. So this one, um, even though, of course, like I said before, I'm gonna nitpick, and it's only because
Yeah.
I'm mad at Terry Matalis, but we'll get there. Um, if I wasn't angry at Terry Matalis for the moment, this would have easily been like the best episode I want to say in a very long time of Star
Yeah.
Trek. It felt like you said, a movie. It felt like not only a movie, but you could definitely see that this is Star Trek. It didn't just have all of this big action and the big action sequences. It had that heart, and it also
Yes.
had some science and techno babble and creature of the week type deals going. So it had everything that people have come to expect when they see Star Trek. I couldn't complain until Terry Matalis. We
Yeah.
gonna get
Well,
there. Yeah, go ahead.
no, I'll wait till we get there. I mean, I was kind of shocked by the revelation that he revealed on Twitter, but yeah, we'll
Yeah,
get there.
well, let's see. I gotta do that. Okay, so with time running out, Picard, Riker, and crew must confront the sins of their past and heal fresh wounds, while the Titan, dead in the water, drifts helplessly towards certain destruction within a mysterious space anomaly. All of that says Star Trek to me. And
Mm.
so, if you have not yet watched Star Trek Picard season 3, episode 4, or as a matter of fact, any of season 3 of Star Trek Picard, here is your warning. This is spoilers, spoilers, spoilers. Now, how did you feel about the flashbacks? Moving in
The,
with like
the,
going 5 years ago, before any of the events of Star Trek Picard, how did you feel about going back to 10 forward with him?
I'm beginning to love these flashbacks. And I don't know if flashbacks are something we've traditionally got in Star Trek a lot, but we've wondered what has been going on, this whole time since Nemesis up until now. And I think just those small nuggets of getting a little insight to these characters where they are now, I think is well done. And we can complain about some of the CG and the
Oh,
deep
yeah.
fake stuff, but I thought the way it was played for heart, it was played for heart in this episode, and also just seeing like the enthusiasm of some of the cadets, and which
And
we kind of saw in the last season of Discovery as well. I really enjoyed all of that. So I think that's something they're going to continue to do in this season. But
right.
yeah, I'm just eating all that up.
It also kind of showed it showed where Picard is in his life. Now they were calling him in the first season, they were calling him a hermit. It was
Yeah,
strange seeing him out in public, out at 10 Forward having a meal, but the meal was alone. He was by himself.
yeah,
If those kids had not come by to talk to him, it would have been a lonely affair.
yeah.
And whether or not he wants to admit it, that right there was enough to show me that Picard is lonely. He let his food get cold, even though you don't have to pay for this
It's
food.
Haddock.
He let his haddock get cold while he talked to a group of kids for what looked like ever, because it was like a
Yeah.
lot of stories being told. He was very happy to he was relishing in telling these stories to these kids, which lets you know that there was something missing in Picard's life, and I thought that was beautifully done.
But isn't that the older people in your life? I can recall sitting with my granddad. He just sitting and telling me these stories about when he was growing up and stuff. So it's kind of a thing that older people like to do. It's a way of them connecting to the new generation. And
But your granddad had you to tell the story to.
yeah, oh, true, true.
Picard had, up until that point, nobody.
Mm, and I do think this. Now, do we know if the 5 years is before or after he resigned his commission from Starfleet? It may have been close. It may have been right
It probably
before.
was really close.
Yeah, but yeah. So I don't know. Seeing him sitting there alone was kind of sad. When, especially in this episode, when we're thinking about and the ultimate question that he gets from that flashback, you
Hmm.
know, who is your family? Starfleet is my family. I didn't need anything else.
And
And the weight of how that question landed on who asked it, I'll let you reveal who asked it. But oh
yeah,
man, so good.
and also we know that, okay, he's sitting here, he's talking to cadets. That question is asked. He's in admiral mode right now. So
Yeah.
what would be his answer to that question? The answer is going to be Starfleet will be everything you ever need. Now go sign up, young man, because to him that's all this kid could be asking the question for.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, we're gonna get to, or should we just go ahead and let it out the bag? We don't have to hold our card close to the chest. The spoiler warning has been given. We know now that that young man that asked the question was Jack.
Oh man. Now, I think in our chats, of course, go to the Tasha After the Snap Discord where we talk about all this stuff. She'll have the link somewhere. But I think you said anyway, that you think he kind of pieced that together before the end of the episode, or you asked the
I'm
question in your
asking the
review.
question: did he?
Mm, I don't think he did.
I'm torn as to whether he did, because we know Jack knows. Okay, so was
Yeah,
at that end from the point of view of Jack remembering that, that he asked that question and the answer that he was given by his father, or was John Luke putting it together like that was him 5 years ago?
yeah. But doesn't that moment make all the pain and anguish of A, not only knowing you had a son, but B, when his son finds out who he is, he doesn't want to go see him. But just that one moment of knowing that he at least tried
He
in his own
actually
way.
did,
It
and
it
you pushed him away.
Not intentionally,
Right.
but he did.
Yeah, it was accidental.
Yeah.
But yeah, so now is that another layer of guilt that we're gonna see on John Luke?
Oh man, I don't know. I hope not. He,
I mean, how much guilt can this old man's shoulders carry? Yeah, he that's if you got a answer to that question, audience, whether you're watching now or on the rebroadcast, please let us know. Do you think that John Luke had put together by the end of the episode that Jack was the person asking that question? Let me know because I'm still unsure of what I think about that.
but you originally thought Jack would be there, didn't you? I think that was what I was trying to get to. Did you think Jack would be there
I
to the
did
forge?
not. I did not. Nope, I didn't put that together.
It surprise a great surprise for to end the episode with because I had no idea.
Yeah, that was it was great. It made me feel differently about Jack. Jack's not such a jerk either. He wanted to meet his father. And Spaliers, did they do some de aging?
I think they did. I think maybe just a tinge on Patrick Stewart, but Ed Spillers, he definitely like he was probably 16 or something. In the
That
no
is,
wrinkles.
we're gonna get to it. We'll get to that one because I got a slide for it. So the kids asking the questions. Picard battled Hirogen. When? How? I got questions. I would like to see the Herodians in the Alpha Quadrant, but
Yeah,
uh, Janeway name dropped. That was cool. And this is what the second or third time.
love it, love it. Bring my
If they name drop it one more time, they're gonna owe us show it on screen.
yeah, yeah.
And then he talked about the events of Darmok. He talked about another episode that I did not go back and try to research because what he said was it was an episode, but he didn't say enough to jog where how I can pull that episode up and get the title. But he did
Mm.
reference another episode of TNG as well.
Yeah, I think these certainly are the big ones here. Well, I guess the question about Hirogen that I have is: did Starfleet progress into the Delta Quadrant, or did Hirogen progress into the Alpha Quadrant?
Right
And
now,
there's
that
got to be
is
a
the
story
question.
there
Yeah, Delta. I would think that Starfleet figured out a way to get to the Delta Quadrant.
because this
Uh,
is post Prodigy, so maybe
yep,
that's the answer there.
yep. So
Mm.
yeah, I think that's what it is. And I know that this was not put there on accident. It's put there to make us ask those questions. I really hope because maybe somewhere down the line we'll get a payoff on these questions. So I appreciate those types of little nuggets that they can put in. And these kids know their history, don't they? They
They
know Star Trek
do,
just as good as we do.
yeah.
The directing in this episode, mwah. And we got a fully realized bridge crew. I mean,
Mm.
without he said everybody's name. We know who everybody is. We know LaForge, Esmar, Tavine, Mura. This is episode 4. I'm not about to talk about nobody else's series, but episode 4 of the final season of Picard, we know the entire bridge crew. So these are the people I expect to see in the spinoff.
Yeah, they're all
If
very
there is
likable
one.
too.
Huh?
I said they're all very likable too.
Yeah. Do
Sydney
you
Sydney
think
LaForge is yeah, that's one of my favorite characters of this show as well. Written by I want to add real quick. This was written by Metalis and Sean Tretta as well.
okay. Yes. We got a comment. Jim says, I 100% think Picard figured it out. The way the scene played out reminded me of that first scene with him and Beverly. Like he and Jack had a moment there, they locked eyes. I I can see it. I can see it.
Mm.
I was just
Mm.
unsure of how they wanted to play that, but Jim, you do have a point. They did look at one another, and there was a look of kind of connection of understanding between those two. I'm gonna look at it again to see if I can be 100% sure as 100% sure as you are,
Yeah.
Joe. uh, This was the let the woman do the work episode too. I don't know if it was just if it was a coincidence that women's what was it Women's Day was March
Yeah.
8th. So this episode comes out and we got the women saying, "Oh no, we're not giving up just yet." Now, I appreciate that because in a lot of instances, the women are relegated to just sitting around and looking pretty. And you have two very beautiful women, so it would be very easy to just let them rest on their looks. But we catch them doing the work in this episode and being the heroes.
Yeah. I mean, it was like we was right back on Voyager, and Seven was, running around trying to figure out a problem that's inhibiting the ship or whatever. So
Mm-hmm.
I think Jerry Ryan was amazing in this episode, and to see her work with, and we'll get into it, but see her work with Shaw after all that Shaw did to her, or the way he treated her,
Mm-hmm.
and just some of the small things she's picked up over these past few episodes that have been laid as breadcrumbs for us that have paid off in this episode with the moment with her and Sydney. I just thought
Yeah.
was wonderful. And when we get back to Beverly being Dr. Crusher, now
Mm-hmm.
it may have been a little bit too on the nose with this being a babies or whatever, but yeah, she was the only one paying attention to this, and it's funny because it seemed like everybody would have been paying attention to the power surge every time
You
they
would
got
think,
hit,
right?
but
You know, Beverly did not come to play when you saw
yeah,
that blue jacket. When she put that blue lab coat
yes.
on, she is business. It is all
Wait,
business.
did she have it on? I didn't even
Yeah.
notice.
Yes.
What? But it's also indicative of her being away for the last 20 years, and maybe from her mind she hasn't been worn down, she hasn't been jaded as much as Riker or Picard are at this point from circumstances. And once she's back connected to her crew or her people from the Enterprise, she's right back in that mode of we. It's just like Burnham said, I don't believe in no win scenarios.
Right.
you know,
I didn't even think about that. Yes, that's another good
yeah,
Discovery callback.
yeah, and she's trying to figure this thing out. So, Crusher, Gates McFadden, she was great in this episode.
So do we think maybe she was not trying to tell anybody? Because I have a problem with how long it took her to tell everybody. That was she not trying to tell everybody so that she wouldn't give them false hope until she was 100% sure? Or
Mm,
I mean, I know this is just us trying to read a character, but there has to be a reason why when Picard was standing right in front of her and asked to holler at Jack for a minute, why didn't she say, "Oh, before you know, I'm following up on something with these energy surges." Anything, but instead of keeping it a secret all the way up until the third act.
yeah, I think it may have been more meta for the timing of the episode. You mentioned the third act. I think it was more about the timing of getting that revelation and hitting right to it.
Yeah.
Um, because we did need time for her to discover it and just kind of be sure, I guess, be sure of what she saw. But yeah, I agree. Seems like she would have just told somebody immediately. Maybe they should have introduced it in the last episode or something and then immediately paid off. But
Mhm.
I think in the scope of this being contained together, I think it was paced just good enough for this one.
Now, when we start thinking about, we talk about in the last slide, let the women do the work, but the men are doing the emotional heavy lifting this year. It seems like every heavy emotional scene is one of the male cast members is at the center of it, and this is the stuff that Emmys is made out of. People are going to look at this and say somebody on this crew is going to be nominated for an Emmy. So if you had to choose today, who would you choose to at least be nominated for an Emmy?
100% Todd Stashwick. Uh, man, this guy, and I love that I love that in this series so far is that instead of, it's like they're turning the table a little bit, because you always in a lot of shows they write the women to be the one that's always emotional and distraught, But this one, like, no, our men, the women are kicking butt, and the men are over here can't cope with what's going on. Have had tragedies in their life that are pulling them down in a situation where they need to rise up and be the best of themselves. So
But
the way
I
they,
think it's also giving permission to to some toxic elements of maybe the fandom. It's giving them permission to
mm,
feel.
mm,
Because that was a huge problem that a lot of people had with Discovery and Sonequa Martin Green's portrayal of Michael Burnham, her emotion. But now we have some characters that you know and love, and this is giving you an opportunity as a male alphas, because was
yeah,
when you consider Riker definitely is an alpha male and Picard definitely alpha male, and they're not being overly emotional. It's very well done, but they
yes,
are not hiding what they feel, and I like
yeah.
that about this season.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, the meta of the situation when people complaining about it in other shows, what happens when Riker is doing it, Picard is
Mhm.
doing it? Are you going to have the same complaints about it, or are you
But
going to try to dig into the story and see the why? See
right,
that he lost that Thaddeus, or he lost his son. See that Picard has spent 20 years without even knowing he had a son.
right.
So, so yeah, I
And
just
then
love the
the
way they.
breakdown, because what I'm calling a breakdown right now, and maybe I'll feel differently before you and I finish our conversation today. I call what Todd Stashwick's character had. I call that a breakdown. Um, this is something that he's been holding for 30 some years, and it just he spilled out um,
Oh,
with a lot of
he's
emotion behind
he's been waiting for that moment.
it.
He's just wait till I get in the room with Jean Luc Picard.
Wait
I
now.
am gonna
Okay,
let
we'll come
go.
back to my. I got a question concerning that, but it's on everything is on the slide. But yeah, so for you, you say your vote would be for Todd Stashwick. It's hard to argue against that. For me, it would be Riker. Um,
Mm,
because of he's got layers of trauma, the loss of the child, then feeling as if he's pulling Deanna down with him, being
mhm.
just feeling numb. uh, the apology at the end of this episode, all of his attempts to send a log to Deanna, this right here was feeling. It's like
Yeah,
even apologizing to Picard at the beginning of this episode, which happened rather abruptly, if you ask me. But
yeah.
we don't have 2 hours; we only had 1 hour. Um,
Well, I think that's valid in a way because sometimes you lose yourself in the moment, and he was aware enough to immediately go apologize. Like, look, okay, you're actually right about the whole situation.
yeah,
So I found that to make a lot of sense. And we also got to think when we talk about Riker's emotions and what has been he's been carrying his not guilt but his pain over his son for a long time now. I mean, we've
yeah,
seen how big his daughter is,
yeah.
and
But it
so
says like 3 years. How long ago was it that the son died? I thought the son died shortly before the scenes in I mean the episode Nepente in season
yeah.
one.
So what that about be about 3 or 4 years maybe somewhere in
Yeah,
there.
and that is a long time though to not talk, to bottle your feelings up, because even in Nepente, if we are going to say okay, this is the exact same Riker, this is
Mm-hmm.
not due to some different writing and all of this. He was even hiding it then. I thought he was okay. I didn't
Yeah.
know that he had. I wouldn't have known that he was going through something. If we didn't get this Riker,
Well, you resign your commission, you move home, you try to be a family man, and you thinking it's going to fill the gaping hole in your heart, and
hmm
and still like he's just never been supposedly never been the same.
yeah. But he's doing a fantastic job of uh, bearing a lot of emotional weight of a character. Jonathan Frakes is doing an awesome job. So Any of them. You can choose Todd Stashwick. You can choose Picard, for that matter. Any answer would probably be a correct answer, but I really am liking Riker this season. Now let's talk
Agreed.
about this Jameson bottle.
It didn't bother me. I didn't even notice. You have a
I
bone to
know
pick, though.
because every time the camera turned, the bottle turned. That label
Mm,
stayed within the frame of the camera, but it didn't bother me. But I know that there are people who are going to be like, "Now, see more product placement." But so that's the thoughts on the magical Jameson bottle. That's it. Didn't bother either of us.
yeah, it's funny because most of the times when you see a bar on Star Trek, it's either on a ship or somewhere else, and
Mhm.
this one is in downtown LA,
Right.
somewhere in LA. So of course they would have Earth drinks, but
Right.
it still feels weird. It still feels weird.
Right. Why nobody want to try Picard's wine? Why is everybody saying no to this wine? I
I'm not a
wonder what
wine
it
person.
tastes like. Nobody wants any of it.
I
Okay.
think John is the only person I know that has
Yeah.
tasted it.
Even he was pouring whiskey at 10 forward. Nobody wants this wine. Um, so what about the use of the holodeck? Now we know that we heard that in back in Voyager that the holodeck is on a separate energy or power supply.
hmm
Uh,
Which is another good tie-in to the Herodian, knowing what the Herodian did with the
yeah,
holodecks on Voyager.
so that is another tie-in. But since Voyager, nobody's looked for a workaround. Like, and
Mm,
okay, maybe the better question would be if I'm in a desperate situation where I'm going to die anyway, wouldn't I at least exhaust that possibility? Like that I can do, we've got engineers on this ship. Uh, what's his name? Shaw
yes,
is a
Shaw.
hell of an engineer. Why are we not even trying to divert some of that power to life support? Wouldn't that be? I don't know.
I 110% agree with you. The only explanation I can and good on them for immediately explaining in an episode because I was asking the same question and Picard just says, "Oh, it's on the single power cell or whatever," you know. But I think that might be it. If it's running on a single power cell, it might not be enough to do anything effective. It's effectively nil, you know.
Okay.
That's the only thing that I can think of. But to your point, it does seem like if we finna die, somebody need to wire up that. There should be a switch to wire it up, man. That
Right.
was kind of weird.
Or is it, or is it because the holodeck is on this separate system that there is life support in there, and maybe that's why
Hmm.
everybody would. But it's 500 people, so I don't think 500 people are going to fit in there.
Yeah.
I'm I'm,
Yeah.
I'm
It's
making too much
weird.
of it.
You're not because I'm right there with you. They luckily explained it to some extent, but still, when you think of the grand scheme of we're out of power, we have to rely on docking thrusters to get out of here. You know, maybe we can somehow tie this power in. We got to 98%. It could have been the 1% to get up,
Yep,
get a
that's
little
all we
closer. You know?
needed. That little
Yeah.
push. Okay, so John Luke is talking to. Oh, wait a minute. Okay, John Luke is talking to Jack at the bar, and Jack is nervous, and he's like he's got one of those cocktail straws, and he's bending it up. But that's a very deliberate pattern.
Mm, I didn't
Um,
notice.
I'm almost feeling like we've seen. Now, I saw on Twitter where somebody was asking a similar question to what I'm about to ask. Is he doing something self or subconsciously that he doesn't even know that he's making this shape? And I didn't put the slide in here, but there was a slide of what looked like that portal weapon. And remember, it was looking like it was igniting on one end, and I'm gonna have to find the picture. But
Mm,
that's what it looks like, and
it.
and I'm wondering if that will also play into these visions that we're gonna get to a little later.
It hadn't even occurred to me. But it is
I-
red, which you can tie that in with the visions a
yes.
little bit.
And just the fact that, they showed it. It's one thing to be nervous and to be twiddling with your fingers. It's something entirely different to make this very distinct shape with this red cocktail straw. It's something that he's seen before, probably in his subconscious, and without him even knowing it, he's repeating it. He's making it out of the straw.
But you said there's pictures that are clearer of what he made there somewhere.
This is probably the best picture. This is
Hmm.
like the last picture of that scene where he was bending that straw.
That's
But
interesting.
and when and if I find the other picture that I'm talking about, the picture to compare it to, I'm going to put it in the Discord. So that'll be just one more reason for you to join the Discord, or at least give us a visit, so that you can see what I'm talking about. Because I didn't do a good job of putting that extra slide in there. Sorry.
Mm.
um, then this dude.
Oh my
So,
god.
thoughts on the epic monologue delivered by Todd Stashwick? Uh, Number one, did he go too far, or was he taking advantage of an opportunity he thought he'd never get again? You sitting in the room with Locutus of who you see as Locutus of Borg, and everybody's about to die. This is it. This is the only chance you're going to get to do this. Do you think he went too far, or was he just taking advantage of the opportunity presented him?
Yes. Both of those are correct.
Oh,
Oh
oh
man.
gosh.
Yeah, we've known from the minute Picard and Riker have stepped on this ship, and even from the notion that which good callback we where he calls 7 to 9 Commander Hansen.
Anakin. Hmm.
Yeah, where we book in that in this episode as well. But we kind of figured from the beginning there is something to do with the Borg that he really doesn't like.
Hmm.
And again, you don't have to purposely subvert expectations to make a payoff good. And oh boy, when he started with this U.S. Constance and then gave us the star date
Hmm.
and just goes into the whole Battle of Wolf 359 spiel, man, just chef's kiss, just beautiful,
It was well
beautiful.
done.
And
That was a long monologue too.
yeah, and the emotion that's again I said it's a very emotional episode for our characters. Just the amount of emotion that is involved with that delivery and being remorseful of having survived that situation and being in the room with the person who led the ship that led the attack that killed 11,000 uh, people. Just tough all around. And
Right.
yeah, and what he says about Locutus. You know, they
Oh,
even named him.
he said, yeah. He said, your daddy was setting the world on fire. He's like, he's
Oh,
Locutus of Borg. The only
ooh,
Borg so deadly they gave him a goddamn name. Lord have mercy. That was
ooh,
a good scene.
ooh.
Powerful.
Stashwick killed it. He killed it. Mm.
Do you think because the crew that was in the holodeck, has he lost respect for of them? Has those have those people lost respect for him? Do you think?
I would say no because obviously they've been seeing these actions from who is supposed to be their leader. It's like you have a leader that's doing some crazy stuff. You have no idea why he's doing it. He's acting crazy in front of certain people. Probably runs it the first time to Borg, if I'm being honest. And now we finally get an explanation. And if I was on that crew, I think I'd feel a little bit better knowing that okay, this is why he's like that. And hopefully, now that he has had this chance to air it out with the person who was responsible for that attack, maybe he can get to a better place. And we
Mhm.
said it from the beginning; they're setting us up to this character to get some to get some redemption.
Yeah.
And boy, does he?
So, do you think that after them being saved and coming out of the nebula, yay, has
Yes,
Shaw gained a new respect for Picard?
he does. He does. Picard comes to his door What did he say? I need your help. Something
even
he
if
said
even if
weird.
you are a dipshit from Chicago.
Yeah, it's like nice, nice. If anything, we know one thing that a holes like is to be one upped. Like, oh,
Yeah.
that was kind of
Yep.
clever. You know?
And that was John Luke nailed it because he didn't
He
have
did.
to beat him up in the situation when he was getting everything off his chest. Again, they're still under the belief that they are about to die anyway. So Picard is like, I understand. The same thing he said with Cisco. I understand. Just get it
Yes.
off your chest and let's all move past it. Now Cisco, it would have taken a little bit more to move past because he still there was no chance that they were about to lose their lives in that moment. So now he still has
Yeah.
to carry that anger, knowing that my wife is gone, but you're walking out the door and you're just fine.
Mm,
Ashwick's character Shaw thought that all of them were gonna die. So he's like, I don't have anything to lose right here by just blasting this man. And Picard took it on the chin.
randomly selected. This is the time you want to be randomly selected.
Yes,
And you
very.
got to think Picard has been hearing this his whole life.
Mm-hmm.
You know, ever since that moment, he's definitely run into people where he has just to sit back and kind of hold his shoulders up and just take it. I mean, what are you going to do? He just
Yep.
has to take it, which is hard. That's a hard thing to do.
Because and then this is also a correlation. It's like telling a victim that they need to be sorry for being a victim. um,
Mm,
if you have a situation where somebody is taken hostage and the person that's taken hostage lives and or they go with the kidnapper or the killer and the killer
mm-hmm,
kills everybody else. Now this person should that person feel like I apologize for everybody getting killed and I'm still alive.
mm.
Picard didn't ask to be turned into a Borg. He was essentially raped.
Yeah, yeah.
Same as Seven of Nine. So for 30 years, they have been apologizing for
Mm.
being assaulted.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that's
Hmm.
where it stops being fair to me. And it starts being like, okay, look, you got to look at it from both sides because these people were victims too. So, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and Shaw is an enlightened man. He should know that. He should.
I mean, he's a captain of a starship. I'm pretty sure there, if to be a manager at a Taco Bell like I was, we had to take all kinds of tests on how to treat people and talk to
Uh,
people and tiptoe around this and that. If I had to do that, then I'm pretty sure to be a captain of a starship, you had to take a course or two.
yeah, you know that there's Klingon etiquette training. Don't treat the Klingons bad. Don't treat the now Romulans, since we have the
Yes,
whole Hobus blast radius, whatever. Don't treat the Romulans. They're people. We're
right.
Starfleet.
So we're gonna go to this was where I started getting mad at Metalis because he told us
Mm.
that everybody on her ship, on Vadic's ship, is a changeling. And he could have just kept that a secret. And I just been going around telling the secret because now I know.
He said it. It's on his Twitter. I mean, he said it on his Twitter. So,
Yeah.
um,
So why are the henchmen wearing masks and the such?
bird gear.
Yeah. Why are they looking like that?
And they're still making that chirping noise.
Yeah. Why are they doing that if they are all changelings? If they all of them are the same, why are they acting different? That's weird to me.
Now we see Vedic has the marks on her face.
Hmm. Why?
Could it be that everybody on that ship is suffering from something?
Okay, and that's where I go with, are they becoming solid? Because okay, she cut her hand off to talk to the hand.
Yeah, I love that in your review.
So she cut her
Uh,
hand off to do that, and she hurt when she did it.
yeah.
So she felt that. We never saw Odo feel anything like that. So why is she feeling this? And then we're going to have a picture coming up of the way that they look when they go back to their natural form. Why does that look so different than Odo? And that Odo was gold and was actually pretty when he went back to his natural form. This is actually terrifying.
Now Odo was away from the link his whole life, and they sent different changelings out into the universe.
Hmm. But
So,
when he went to the link, everybody at the link was like him too. They didn't.
hmm.
They all turned gold. They were a big gold ocean, and when they
But
stepped out, they were all gold first, and then they turned into whatever they wanted to turn into. So why are these looking like raw hamburger meat?
well, I was thinking like if this is a terrorist sect that has disconnected from the link, I wonder if something connected with that particular group that's causing them to either become solid or just be different. And of course, our technology as movie TV makers is going to make them look a little bit different. But I'm just wondering if something to do with their disconnection from the link is causing them to somehow be different. Or another virus. I don't know. Maybe Starfleet
Could
had a
be
virus. Maybe that
that
might
could
be
be
why
somebody
they
else could be making them
infiltrated.
sick.
Yeah.
Okay, what about her? Is in this episode, did she suddenly become less scary and more kind of pathetic?
Mm. I definitely felt for her more in this episode than I did previously. Because we see that, okay, of course she's the Joker, she's nefarious, she's sometimes very calculated, but she is being driven by a force outside of her that is pushing
Mhm.
her to do this. So it could just be that she doing what she got to do to get to somewhere.
Yeah,
I don't know what the
something.
next step is. I don't know the why, which hopefully we'll get soon. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think she's a little less scary, a little more sympathetic.
Yeah, I mean, just a little bit more sympathetic, but I definitely see her as afraid. And I'm like, how are you going to be the baddest person on the planet or in the galaxy and you're afraid of somebody? So she was scared of this other creature, which we're going to have
Afraid of
a
the hand.
yeah, we're going to have a picture of. We wanted to get back. I wanted to get to these knives because this is not just like Shinzon's knife. That is his knife.
Yeah, looks just
It
like
is
it.
it is exactly his knife. I was looking at it like the tip of the of Vadic's knife was closed, but no, it's got a little bit of an opening to it. That is definitely his knife. So this does connect them two in some way.
The Remans. So, hmm. What happened to the Remans after the Hobus explosion? Do we
I,
know?
as far as I remember, that most of them were destroyed, killed.
Hmm. Yeah. So why would she have this Romulan knife or this Reman knife? Who
and
knows?
and it's his knife. Definitely, because the pictures on the bottom, okay, the picture with the white background, that's just for it to stand out a little bit more. The other picture is from Nemesis. So that's definitely the same knife.
Hmm.
I
Interesting.
mean, I'm leaning towards this. There's some relation here. I don't know how, because she's a changeling.
Yeah,
But there's got to be some relation for her to have that knife.
and the other meta of this entire thing we've seen in the post credit scenes of the DNA strands, supposedly Picard's DNA strands in the post credit scene. So and we
Yeah.
still don't know why Jack is why Jack is
Yeah.
special. So it's all gonna come together somehow, but the how I have no
Yeah, this
idea.
is just like trying to figure this stuff out. Okay, so now hold your lunch because here comes the hand.
Uh oh. Talk to the hand. Get that meme online.
Oh
Hmm.
gosh, it is so freaking ugly.
Now, I could definitely see why people would wonder if Vatic is still a changeling after this because it's just weird.
Right.
It goes into that kooky sci-fi sort of territory. Like, cool idea. Didn't expect
Yeah.
to see it in Star Trek, but okay, this is where we are.
And it goes against everything we know about the changelings. So there has to be a reason. There's been a reason for everything else. So there has to be a reason why she needs to cut off her hand to communicate with the boss. Jim has an idea. Jim says, I think Terry was fibbing. There's something different about these new changelings. I have a couple of theories on that.
Ooh, do tell.
Yeah, share if you'd like. Nobody's forcing. But
and
yeah, I want to hear what one of your theories at least is, because right now I am batting 0, 0, 0 because I don't have a clue of what these things can be.
and we haven't known changelings to their gelatinous state to separate to be in different parts. So here's my part. Go use it as your hand.
Right.
Sounds kind of cool, but that just seems so different from what we know. I don't even know if
Yeah.
they can separate. Maybe they can. I don't know.
Yeah, I've never seen it happen. I've never seen it happen. This is new territory. And
Mm.
this is I'm trying to even look at the little face to see if there is some type of that it looks like something or someone, because there are I guess it could be, remember that one changeling that Odo had met on Deep Space Nine, and he wanted Odo to come and start a new link with him. He was another one of
Mm.
the 100 changelings that was sent out into the universe, and
Mm.
he wanted Odo to come and they can start a great link together. And I'm wondering if he could be part of that, but that still doesn't explain why he looks like that. Why he looks like
Yeah, that's freaky.
yeah,
That
that's I don't even want to look at it anymore.
what nightmares are made of.
So when the hand face, when it told uh, Vatic, look, I don't care about you, anybody else on that ship. Only thing I care about is you bringing me Jack Crusher. And she really didn't want to get rid of this portal weapon, but
She
she
did
had to.
not.
I thought it was really cool how, for just for that second, you could see Daystrom Institute on the side of.
Yes,
Yeah, it
cool
was.
callback.
I'm wondering if anybody is gonna find it.
Well, I was saying it would have been awesome if the Titan would have picked it up on the way out, but of course they didn't know it was out there. But
Yeah, that would have been nice. Okay, next is where we get Sidney LaForge. Sidney LaForge, Changeling. So, and,
yes,
and I'm gonna answer this question before I go on, because I know what's his name, Dave. Is that his name? Yes, Dave. Ask me, if LaForge is a changeling, where's the real LaForge? Well, LaForge, the real LaForge is where she was supposed to be, which is on the bridge. This is the
yeah.
changeling, and he transformed himself into Sidney LaForge because he knew that he could use her and her connection to Geordi and engineering to get in the door. And now I'm pretty sure he regrets
Yeah.
getting in the door. Okay, I'm gonna pull Jim's uh theory here. Changelings are known for creating genetically engineered species. They could be using those skills to turn people into sort of pseudo changelings. Fake LaForge
Mm.
didn't die like changelings normally do. She did not. She stayed solid.
Really? She
And I wish
did.
you remember.
Yeah, I kind of remember now. She did.
Yeah,
Huh.
I agree with you there. So maybe
So,
this is some genetic stuff going on.
well, if you think about it, it would kind of be the ultimate way to get back at the solids to somehow start taking them secretly and injecting this DNA into them that make them somehow have changeling or part changeling. That would be interesting.
because
And you can even think about that when you talk about what's so special about Jack. That could be
right.
what's wrong
Because
with him. I don't
I
know.
was actually thinking something like along the lines of at first before Matala said that about Vatic, I'm like, is she a new Vorta? Is
Mm,
that was one of the things that I was thinking about, and then these other little creatures would be the new Jem'Hadar, but this could
mm,
be anything now. When you start talking about genetically manipulating people, or yeah, themselves, or taking parts of themselves and genetically manipulating it into people or into solids,
mm-hmm.
that's a whole new thing, a whole new ball game.
Yeah.
But yeah, Seven didn't waste no time dropping her.
No. And again, just a nod to all the callbacks to the writing up front of setting up all these payoffs. Not a payoff we needed to get at the end of the season, but a payoff, within the same episode, which I
Mm-hmm.
loved.
Yep. Okay, so we got another picture of the changeling goo, and this is just so different. It's just so different. It really does look like meat. It doesn't. So I don't know. I don't know. I'm more apt to agree here with Jim that there is some genetic engineering going on, and we said genetic engineering, but I don't think we were talking to this degree of genetic engineering, because it's something. There is definitely something going on here.
Yeah, I'm looking at the visual of Sydney, or Changeling Sydney, and it looks more like The Walking Dead or something. It doesn't look like she definitely doesn't dissipate like the
No,
Changeling. Or maybe if they get killed in a solid state, that's how they are. I don't know. But it definitely looks different from what I remember.
because I'm trying to. Well, no, but yeah, because remember
Have we seen
on
one get killed? Go ahead.
Beverly's ship, when she killed those ones that were on her ship, they
Yeah,
disappeared completely.
yeah, that's true. That's true. Hmm. Hmm.
Then we get to see Picard in the center seat, even though this is a bad picture. I couldn't find one more clear.
No, that's
But
beautiful
we
pick.
got Picard in the center chair, um, back like the way we remember things from the good old days, and he enlists Jack to be the navigator, even though you got a whole freaking ship full of Starfleet people. You like, nope, nobody can do it like my boy. So he used this boy to do it, and they got through. So yay.
Yeah, beautiful setup to the story he told of he and not even Jack Senior, just other
Yeah,
Jack,
yeah.
Daddy Jack, where Picard is doing the navigating and Picard is piloting and Jack is doing the navigating.
Mm-hmm.
So
Same, yeah,
yeah,
same
same
difference.
situation, just beautiful mirror we have here for this situation. And again, you could say maybe some of the writing is too on the nose, or maybe the setups are too soon to be paid off. But I think in the scope of this episode, it all works.
Yeah,
It all works.
that was good, especially because we saw Jack say, "I don't need to be connected to anything. I'm kind of used to being on the outside." But he looked real plugged in when he was on the bridge with Picard.
Yeah.
It really looked like he enjoyed being part of something. So this is how the spinoff happens with him being part of the crew. Unless we find out something real funky about him in these next few episodes.
Yeah, Jack is very frantic. That's my takeaway from his acting. He's very frantic in his acting, which it's like it bring energy to it. Is kind of what he's doing, but he is kind of somewhat frantic in some of his acting, which I enjoyed. I thought it was good.
Oh man, yeah, this is quite a. Now this, I'm gonna share it. Um, doop 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 doop. That's crispy Sydney. But again, yeah, she didn't die like a normal changeling. She looks bad. This I don't know what to make of it. But I am in agreement with Jim that this is probably some genetic manipulation going on. That's the only thing I could come up with.
And what
And
did
I
you
didn't
think
even come
about?
up with it.
So are we assuming? So of course, Seven is trying to hunt this changeling down. Are we assuming that she had her phaser on stun when she shot the changeling several times in the chest and shot his arm off? Was her phaser simply on?
That's what I thought, that she had it on stun, and that's why he didn't die. So now the next time she faced one, she didn't put her phaser on stun, she put it on kill.
Mm, mm.
Because yeah, that was my understanding, or the way I understood that scene was that she yeah, she stunned it a couple of times. It did nothing to that thing. Why did he kill that other this has nothing to do with nothing. He had the phaser. He knows that Seven got the bucket. Why did he kill the other security guard? Why didn't he just shoot Seven? I'm
Your
like, you
guess
just
is as
killed
good as
somebody for
mine.
no reason. That lady was still walking. She didn't have no clue.
Wrong place, wrong time. I don't know.
Angus, how's it going, Angus? He said changeling hybrids, Jack Jr. So,
Mm,
well, Jack, he ain't Jack Jr. He's
so
actually
weird.
Picard, baby Picard. But yeah, it's got to be some kind of hybrid. It's got to be. That was terrible. Then where the heck was I? Oh, add that back to stream. Okay,
Yeah,
when Riker got his lick back, when he threw
yeah,
that
that was
rock,
awesome. Oh, you threw a ship? I'm throwing an asteroid.
and the look on his face as he was watching it, trying to make sure it got to where it needed to go, it just killed me. It looked like somebody who's playing golf. He had to make sure he followed his shot, and then
Now.
Beverly, did you just throw an asteroid at that ship? Because she wasn't on the bridge when Vatic threw her ship at them. So this
Yeah.
is her first time seeing this trick.
Daggone right I did. Whatever he said. It was
In
great.
her face.
Oh
Yeah,
boy.
she was in shock. She was in utter
Mm.
shock.
Way to book in that. Beautiful. Beautiful.
Yes, it was. I never thought I'd see it again, and especially not that quickly. You're back? Yeah. Well, what's the matter? Um,
Because we was trying to leave for the rodeo, but I didn't want to take Ashley. See, I was asleep next to him.
okay, well, just leave him here. I'm gonna be done in a few.
Okay, I'll bring his backpack and stuff, but he's already asleep.
Okay.
And real quick, I wanted to comment on the picture of Picard in the captain's seat. So
Okay.
I heard a comment from someone else that why did Riker tell Picard to take the con because he's not at the con station or whatever? And then I guess the answer to that is he is piloting the ship, but he's not in that seat. He's giving commands to pilot the ship. You know, angle up this amount of degrees, down this amount of degrees. You know,
Mm-hmm.
so he was still piloting. He was at the con, but not at the con. You know,
Right. Not in command.
yeah.
Oh, and here comes this
Mm.
stuff. This is where things get weird. er. Because when the vines start coming out from behind the mirror, wherever they're coming from, he starts to look like it's pain. He starts to look like he's hurting. So we're going to move into the next one. See, now is it just because he doesn't want to see these things, or is it because he's this is giving him some kind of pain.
I think he doesn't want to remember, or
Okay.
doesn't want to. Stop it! Get out of my head!
Yeah, because he did beat his head a few times. Come on. We're gonna have our associate producer here.
And now, associate producer. Hey.
You good. Don't make noise.
It was not a girl. It was a boy.
It was a
It's a boy. She's having a boy.
Oh, she having a boy. Why does she have all these girl stuff then?
Well, it was both boy and girl.
Oh.
Yes.
Oh, you were voting girl.
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
I came from a nice family.
Okay, sir. Be good, okay? All right. This I tried to uh brighten it up. I did a whole lot
Oh, we
to
did a
the
little digital forensics on it.
if I was a little bit smarter at what I'm doing, I would have saved the stuff after I brightened it up and stuff. But I couldn't see anything, but of course I can't see anyway. What do we think we see in here? Plumes of
so,
smoke coming off of
so
what?
I don't know. It looks as if it's coming off of some buildings or
Mhm.
something. So the only thing I can really tie this to, and not really tying it back to TNG, but tying it back to Picard season 1 and 2, could it be like the admonition from the Romulans or something like that? Where that was world ending, destroy everything as well. And that kind of what this looks like,
Looks like,
sort
yeah.
of. But I don't know. It's as of right now, I don't know what this relates to. Just looks like end the world,
Yeah.
destruction of the world.
And it's a lot of red. The red. Okay, so we know his visions have been red anyway, and the cocktail straw was red. But
Hmm.
when we entered Shaw's room, did you notice that was all red too?
I did not.
Um,
Hmm.
I think I have one picture of them in that room that I'll pull up, and I don't really know what the heck this is all about. And then the vines start going back, and then the door.
Mm. The door.
Is it just me, or is that door open just a little bit more?
It did. It almost completely opened. So
Yeah,
hopefully that tells me in the next episode we're gonna
we're gonna
get
get to
the
see what's on the other side of the door.
yeah. Though I think I haven't got the title for the next episode yet, but I think they may
Imposter.
be. So that I think that might be an all Rafi and Worf episode, possibly.
And while I'm very glad to get back to that side of the story, it's like, oh no, but there's so much going on over here.
It
So
is.
hopefully there is a chance that the Rafi and Worf side of the story will tell us something that give us a little bit more insight on what's going on. Because this, yeah, I don't get it.
Red vines, red visions of destruction,
Right,
a door opening. The
Jack,
door.
Jack. And what was the other? Find me
Yeah, find me.
together soon.
Yeah, because it sounded like at first it sounded like Seven's voice,
Yeah,
and then
that's
it
who was
sounded
saying
like,
Jack.
and then it was a voice I'd never heard before. It sounded like a
Hmm.
guy, and
Yeah.
at the very end, it sounded like Beverly's voice saying
Yeah.
Jack again at the very end. So I don't know, man.
Yeah, that's wild. They got us. They got me. I can't think of anything, and that's a good place to be in.
It is. It is. Well, in so many cases, they've given us exactly what we've been thinking is going to be. They've all also managed to surprise us in a few cases. So, bang up job again
Yeah.
goes to the writing.
Speaking of bang up job, I forgot what or did I talk about that when Shaw said that to Seven? Bang up job, your friends are doing with my ship.
Oh, he has all the quips.
Oh gosh, he's got all the jokes. And I'm like, that monologue was fantastic. But some of those one-liners that we forget when they were ringing the doorbell and he was like, don't come,
Yeah.
don't come, fine, come.
Yeah, he oh man, he's so jaded. He's
Yeah,
so
he,
jaded.
he has got people were comparing him to House. Uh,
Mm.
House MD. And I'm like,
I,
yeah, House in space. Yeah, I can see it. That would
yeah.
be a decent premise. They have some real empathetic humans around him, and then him being Shaw.
But isn't
Um,
House on that comedy space show, Channel 5, or
uh,
the HBO Max show? Isn't the House actor on that show?
is he?
I think so.
Oh, and then okay, so this is my last slide because I have checked by numbers. I've chosen my first randomly generated episode, and it is season 5, episode 1. So we know we have 3 shows that have season 5 and an episode 1: TNG,
Mm.
Voyager, DS9, until we get Discovery. So,
Mm.
but season 5, episode 1 of TNG is the second part of a two-parter. So
It's,
I
it's,
have to start this whole thing off with the second part of a two-parter.
it's not Best of Both Worlds, is it? Or was that
No,
season
it is
4?
Redemption.
Redemption. I don't even, am I
That's
remembering?
with the Duras sisters and
Oh,
Sayla and all of that.
I don't think I
Yeah.
love that one.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I got to do the second part of that, and then Voyagers 5-1 is Night, and DS9 is Apocalypse Rising. So
Mm.
within the next say 3 weeks, because I'll be doing probably one a week while Picard is still running. So for 3 weeks, for the next 3 weeks, we know what one of our episodes is going to be, starting with TNG Redemption Part 2.
Awesome. Awesome. That should be fun.
I don't know how much I should have thought of how I would do the if it was a two-parter. I didn't think about that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, do your quick recap of the previous episode at the very beginning.
I'll have to think of something.
Mm,
Oh, okay, tired. See,
no.
oh, people haven't seen you in a while, buddy. Which way we got to go to get you on the camera? This way.
Oh, man, getting big.
Yeah, see, I'm a big dude.
Hello, sir.
Look, man. Okay, have a seat then. Have a seat. Don't tell me he sleep. We want to go to the rodeo. He sleep. When you come in here, he wide awake.
Y'all have rodeos down there where you in them parts?
Yeah, the rodeo is a big thing for these folks. I don't go to the
Hmm.
rodeo, and I told them don't take this baby to the rodeo. So they can go have all the fun. It's like the big fair, basically.
Hmm.
Yeah, well, I don't go out the house, so yeah. But we got imposters coming next week. We will be
Yes,
halfway through the season, and we still got a lot of questions that need answering, and that's a good place to be in.
it is indeed. Thoroughly enjoyed the season so far. It's been fantastic. All I gotta say is keep them coming. Um, Leave a little mystery, Mr. Metalis, which, to him, it might be like, in the grand scheme of things, knowing that doesn't even matter because there's so much more stuff ahead. So
Yeah.
maybe in that aspect, we can give him a little bit of grace, but
I
it
mean,
was a
leave
little,
me on the hook for a while though. I like to have to guess.
yeah, because we were speculating, and then all of a sudden, oh, look on Twitter. Yeah.
Yeah. And it seemed like there was something else, but I'm just like, I'm not even about to talk about it. It seemed like there was something else that Turbatala said that could be
Really?
considered a spoiler. But
Hmm.
what he was talking about was oh gosh. It was in an interview that I just saw. Was it on trekmovie.com?
Mm-hmm.
Somebody's site where he was talking about the changelings and why he decided to go with the changelings instead of the conspiracy aliens. I should have
Mm-hmm.
shared that. In fact, I'll find the article and I'll share it in the Discord. But yeah, some of that could have been a bit spoilery too.
Oh, let me ask you about this before we get off the call. Uh, the jelly babies or the nebula babies, was that like almost just too poetic? Like, We made it. Now this beautiful scene.
Yeah, the babies is born.
The babies,
Where
which
the
let mind you, if that was going to happen anyway, couldn't they just have stayed where they were and then because it broke up. It
they
broke
could
up
have
when
been
the baby.
yeah. They could have been born right with the babies.
I don't know.
Oh gosh. I don't
Ride
know,
that
man.
wave.
um it does because another part or another point from that is Picard mentions Farpoint, and then we have the jellyfish babies, and I'm like, are we trying to say these the same jellyfish? When those jellyfish that made it back in that episode?
Yeah, they were jellyfish like, but those they were huge.
Yeah,
But they were grown, so
right. These were just the babies. I mean, they were like
maybe.
inside of this woman or this woman.
No, no.
They were inside of this jellyfish. So the jellyfish has to be pretty big.
Yeah, yeah,
So the babies were kind of big for babies. So I'm
yeah.
like, are we trying to insinuate that they didn't hook these two jellyfish up and they came back 30 some years later
Who
and see them
knows?
have their babies?
Who knows? I'm sure Terry Metalis will tell us.
He probably already did. Just wasn't paying attention.
Oh man, let me hit up his Twitter.
Well, that is it for no win scenario. And I know Clarence, you guys go on tomorrow. I'm gonna let you tell everybody exactly how to catch up with you.
Yeah, we'll be on tomorrow at 8 to talk about this episode as well. We do the Discussing Trek podcast, and you can find out how to listen and subscribe at discussingtrek.com.
Do yourself a favor and subscribe to discussingtrick.com. They crack me up and have been since the beginning of Discovery. So I had to kind of get back in the timeline. Like, when did I start listening to y'all? And it was after Discovery started. So yeah.
Beginning to the end.
Right. Been there every step of the way.
Mm.
So that's all I got, especially since I got a little visitor with me now. So I will catch up with everybody next week. I thank everybody for joining us. Make sure that you have hit the like button and subscribe if you've not yet done so. Do the same over on Discussing Trek on YouTube and wherever podcasts are served, because again, it's a wonderful treat, and sometimes you even get to see me over there.
Oh,
So,
yeah, of course. Of course. Yes.
so with all that being said, I've got nothing else. It's been fun. Thank you so much for hanging out with me, Clarence.
Aye.
Bye-bye. See you later, alligator. Oh.